I think the best way to predict the future is to study history. Let's go back the last 3,000 years. If you were a king, your life was pretty good. Or it was as good as life could be. To be a king, you had power, influence, money, and you lived a good version of life. If you weren't a king, you were an average man, a common man. And I think the world is cyclical. When you were a common man 2,000 years ago, you were effectively a slave, and life was terrible. That was the same all the way up to perhaps the 1930s, 1940s. Being a common man was pretty terrible. And perhaps it was the war and the massive loss of life. Perhaps it was something else, I'm not sure. But I kind of feel like there was a golden period between in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, where being a normal, hardworking man, because life is cyclical, went from being a terrible existence to quite a good existence. In the 60s, you could be a normal man who worked in a factory, an unskilled labor job, and with one wage, you could afford a house, you could afford a car, you could afford to raise a family, your children would not be taught garbage in school.
Yep.
What matters most? Your wife loves you, you're respected as the breadwinner, your kids respect you, they listen to you, your house is clean, your house is safe, your car works, your life is good. And I feel like because it's cyclical, those good times are over and we're going back to where it was before. The kings have always been fine, and we always will. But if you're the common man, I think that the good days are over. Inflation is going to absolutely decimate your spending power. Now, inflation doesn't damage me. Inflation doesn't damage me because I own all the assets. Inflation just means Bitcoin and stock and land and houses all go up. Inflation means my car collection is no longer worth 110 million. It's now worth 300 million, whatever. Because inflation is meaning your money is worth less. And it's going to take more of your money to buy a house, and your wage is not going to increase at the rate of inflation. It's becoming more and more impossible for you to own assets. For us asset owners, inflation's fantastic. So the common man is about to get wrecked. I think inflation is going to make it exceptionally difficult. I think AI is going to make most jobs worth less than they already currently are. And you're going to, if you still have a job, it's going to be only managing the AI, which means you're going to be paid even less than you're currently paid. I think life is about to become exceptionally difficult for the people in the middle. I think the good times are over. I think it's going to go back to the feudal system of kings and serfs and peasants. And I think if you're a normal, average person now, you should feel deep fear and panic and understand that you have a certain amount of time to get into the higher bracket of the social class before these hard times come. And the most scary thing about these hard times is I feel like the gap is going to permanently close. In olden times, the chance of turning into anything more than a peasant when you were born a peasant was effectively zero unless there was chaos, unless there was a war or some great catastrophe for you to go to war, win, get a knighthood for bravery, get some land, and change your social mobility class. But there had to be war and chaos for you to escape, because without the chaos, it's kind of like a prison break. When all the rules are being adhered to and the prison is operating as it should, you're stuck in your cell. But if there's a prison riot, you have a chance to escape, which means uncertainty and chaos are required for the difference in social mobility. But now I feel like with AI and certain other things, although there's going to be instability in the world, although they're going to continue to lie to us, I feel like the Matrix is going to gain enough control to keep us all in our pods or in our 15-minute cities, or our electric cars will be turned off, or we need to get our bug rations for the week so that there can't ever be enough true chaos for you to escape. There won't be true social mobility, and I feel like there's going to be a close. The people who are rich now, their bloodlines will be rich for a very long time. And the people who are poor now, if they don't get rich soon, in the next 10 years or so, they're never going to get rich. The prices of houses are going to continue to go up. Prices of land is going to continue to go up. Inflation is going to continue to happen. Your wages will not catch up. It's now or never.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible right now. How does the average person on an average wage buy a house in London right now? Yeah. It's almost impossible already. I think in the next 10 years, it's going to become truly impossible, and they're going to use AI to keep the gap closed. And what I find most interesting about that is the socio ramifications of the fact that I think this is quite pertinent to most average people. I think most normal people understand. If you were to ask them, how's the economy? They'd say, well, it's impossible. I can't pay for my bills. I can't pay to eat. I can't afford a house. I can barely afford my mortgage. I'm never going to get rich this way. They understand all of this, but they're not panicking. Why are you not panicking? The Titanic just hit the iceberg. You may not be in the water yet, but it's a certainty. Panic now. don't panic at the end with everyone else as they go into the icy depths. No, I would argue if I was on the Titanic and it got struck by the iceberg, I could have got a lifeboat nice and early. Now, I wouldn't have, women and children first, I'm just using this as an analogy. I could have gone to the top deck when no one else was panicking and said, you know what, I want this, I want to go on a lifeboat. No, I don't feel comfortable on a lifeboat. And the guard probably would have said to me, you don't need to go on a lifeboat, it's no big deal. I said, yeah, but please, just give me the lifeboat, or here's some money, or whatever, I want this one, give me this one. Everyone started panicking at the end. And people are sitting here now going, oh yeah, the economy's bad, but maybe if we vote for this person, who are you going to vote for that's going to put money in your pocket? Actually, nobody. You still got to pay your council tax. You're still a brokey. Nobody cares. No one you vote for is going to change it. It's going to get worse. It's going to continue. And the boat is going to sink and you're not panicking. That's why, one of the things I try very hard not to do is become elitist. Because when you've come from the absolute bottom to the absolute top and you've done it all off of your own back, and hard work and dedication and never missing a day. The only shortcut to life is to never miss a day, because sometimes you get lucky. And you'll never miss a lucky day if you try every day. And that's what people don't understand. If you never miss a day and you never don't try and you're always on time and you try and improve every aspect of your life and you're a professional and you try and make sure that you analyze your decisions, you give yourself feedback, you don't make mistakes, you're not lazy. If you try and you make it to the top, you end up elitist because you look at the people down below and you're like, well, why didn't you try? I did. Oh, I did too. No, you didn't. That's a lie. Now you're lying to me and that annoys me. This is what's scary about it, because I'm from a Luton council estate and now I have all this money. But if I meet somebody who's truly broke, I'm not talking about you not have hundreds of millions, but if I meet somebody who's broke, I think they're an idiot. And I catch myself going, is that bad? Am I elitist? Or do I sit down now and I just say, no, I started lower than you and beat you. How are you poor? You're lazy. There's nobody at home who is too stupid to become rich. Anyone watching this podcast right now, if you were to sit down next to me and I were to say, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, you could do it. But you're too lazy to learn how to do it yourself. And you're too arrogant to listen. It's one of the two. Those are the two most common factors of people. So when I meet people who have truly failed and they pretend to me that they didn't want to fail, I know they're one of the three. And it's usually arrogant. Because when I sit and say to them, you could have got out, they don't say, you're right, I could have got out, I didn't try. They don't do that. They say, no, because it's excuse, someone else's fault, the Matrix's fault, no self-accountability. Oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about anyway. So I catch myself being elitist, and I try very hard not to be, because I don't consider myself a rich man. I'm a poor man with lots of money. And what's scary about being elitist is, if I'm from a Luton council estate, and I see the common man as a lazy idiot, imagine how the elites see us. And then you start to really go down the rabbit hole when you understand these people who've been in charge of the world for a very long time, who own the banks, who believe they're genetically superior to us because why not? Their families always owned the bank. Imagine how they view the common man. You think they give a shit about you or your family or your income or your wages? You think they care about you? You think they're going to make life easier for the common man in the next 10 years as you've just asked? Or are they going to continue to decimate your lifestyle for their own forever profit? There's no light without dark. And especially as these large companies want forever profits, which they do, and they own everything. I don't think many people understand, if you go into Sainsbury's and you look around at the brands, you will struggle to find 10 brands that aren't owned by the same company. The same company that owns Sainsbury's owns every brand. They own everything. So if they want forever profits, which they do, if they can make you poor so they can get richer, they will. If they own all the assets, they want inflation. They don't care about you. They don't care you can't feed your family. Why would they? So, and you can also look at it from a global perspective, which is quite interesting. America was built off the back of World War II. World War II made America rich. But Europe, for the longest time, got rich off the exploitation of second and third world nations. That's how it got rich, by building empires in Africa and Asia, etc.
Colonizing countries.
Yeah, colonizing countries. That's how they got rich. And now we have populations in Europe and in the West which are decadent, and we want high wages, and we want maternity leave, and we want holiday pay, and we want good working standards, and we want good working hours, and we want nice chairs to sit on. Now we're entitled. And if you're a company and you need slaves, do you want entitled slaves, or do you want slaves who are just going to do their job for low pay? And then you start to understand why immigration's being unchecked on purpose so they can bring in people to try and work jobs for basically nothing, who don't want standard of living and don't want standard of work. And what they're effectively doing now is, instead of exploiting the second and third world to benefit Europe, the globalists are now decimating Europe on purpose. Instead of destroying the second and third world for the benefit of Europe, they're going to destroy Europe, and that's going to benefit the second and third world. But they're globalists and they don't care. All they care about is forever profits. They'll go live in Saudi. They'll go live in Mumbai. They don't care. They're not tied to the land or tied to the place like the average European is. So if you're the average man in a European country and you're not financially free and you're stuck somewhere in the middle, not only is your life going to get harder, but also the place you live in is going to get worse. Your wages are going to go down. Crime's going to increase so that the people in charge can get their forever profits and avoid all the mess they make. And it's all done purposefully. If I was an average person, I'd be genuinely afraid. I mean, it's easy for me because I have so much money. I can look at the map and go, where is safe? Tokyo, cool. Most people can't do that. They're stuck. And the fact that that doesn't bother them or they don't panic, I find flabbergasting. I mean, the iceberg has struck the Titanic. How long can you have a border where people can arrive by dinghy and throw acid in people's face until your nation has fallen? And how long will you sit there and get hit by endless bills that continue, inflation that wrecks your currency, wages that don't increase, new taxes with ULEZ cameras, crime rates increase? Bro, I said this to Tristan. We were saying how we miss England because we're English in our hearts and part of us miss it. And I was saying, you know what? If I lived in England, I couldn't even protect myself. If you come to my house, there's a big gate and there's pit bulls and there's 4 guys with weapons, guns. You need SEAL Team 6 to get in my house. There's bulletproof doors and I have a gun next to my bed. I'm the final boss. It's going to be a shootout. In England, I can have all the money in the world. I can go to Radlett. I was looking at a house in Radlett. I'll say right now, it's 12 million pounds. It was gorgeous. And I thought, it's worth 20 million. And I was like, Tristan, if we bought this house, the problem is we couldn't even protect ourselves because eventually someone will work out it's our house. The only way you can protect yourself in the West now is to hide. I was like, we can buy this house, not put it in videos, not put it on social media, not invite girls over, because you know what will happen? You'll invite a girl over one day. Yep. She'll say, I'm coming with my friend Lucy. Next weekend, she's out sniffing coke with some dickhead, and she's like, I was at Tate's house. No, you weren't. Yeah, I was at Tate. I was looking at this picture. Where was it? Here. They now know where your house is. Mr. Bugatti, Mr. Diamond Watch. I'm sitting in my Radlett house. There's fucking 25 windows, 6 door entrances. I'm like, Tristan, we can't even hire armed guards. You can't even be rich in England unless you want to hide. I wear a $400,000 watch in Bucharest, Romania. In London, I don't wear it. So we're talking about how the nation's failed. You could be rich in England and you're still not safe. You have to live like a hermit, like a cockroach under a rock and hide. Or maybe you get a chance to call the police before they chop your wife's hands off. Oh, that's great. And there are people there with no money. They're not even rich like me. They have no money. And they're sitting there going, it'll be okay. Maybe if we get Rishi Sunak out and get another one in. No, it won't. No, it won't. It is a failed society. You need God. Revert to Islam and move to Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, none of that will happen to you. And one of the things I prioritize now in my stage of life is safety. I don't see the point in anything if I'm going to end up killed. But if you're going to kill me, at least the Matrix has to kill me. At least make it a cool story. He was telling the truth. He did fun podcasts. They assassinated him. Make it good. I don't want to die because some idiot wanted my watch. And I feel like the whole Western world is that dangerous now. When I go to London, I'm probably the most nervous. I don't know how anyone lives in London without feeling nervous. I'm so nervous all the time. And I've got 3 dudes with me who are 6'8". And then you'll hear about someone get robbed just outside Harrods while you're in Harrods. You're like, how do people live in this city? And they're just living there like, oh, it's not that bad. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I've never had that. This is the capital of the poorest nation in the European Union. I've never had any problems here. How do you have a nation where you're not allowed to be wealthy without hiding? Where you can arrive without a passport, where they can't catch people who decimate people's faces with corrosive substances, where there's people in a room, those who are supposed to be designated towards enforcing law and justice, trying to put me in jail because I said women can't park. This whole thing is a clown show. Only God can save us now, my friend. I don't know what the West is going to do, but this clown show is built on the back of the taxes of the hardworking average man. You're the average man. Not only is your life fucked, not only is your future fucked, not only are your children going to be finished, you're paying for this. You are paying for all of it. What planet are we on? The Western world has fallen, and empires rise and empires fall. That's fine. But to sit and try and pretend it hasn't fallen is hubris. It's being an ostrich and sticking your head in the sand. And the smartest thing the average man can do is realize that yes, the Western world's fallen. And two, you have 10 years to get into the higher class, the higher social mobility class, or you and your bloodline are eternally finished forever.